Dobrodošli and welcome back to Michelle's Slovenska Kuhinja. Potica, the queen of Slovenian desserts. It's a delicious sweet bread filled with a nutty filling. It truly doesn't get any more traditional than this. It is one of our national treasures, and every family has their own recipe, which is proudly passed down from generation to generation. My mom, sister, and I will be sharing a few tips and tricks of our family recipe, so you'll be able to spread the love of this delicious culinary treasure and bring it into your own Slovenska Kuhinja and be able to share it with your loved ones. Are you ready? Let's get started. And now we're just going to set it aside. We're going to place our butter into a bowl, and then we're going to separate our eggs, adding 4 egg yolks to the butter. We're going to be setting the egg whites aside because we're going to be using those for the walnut filling. Now we're going to be adding our sifted flour into another bowl before we start adding the egg yolk mixture to the flour. And now it's time to add the yeast and a teaspoon of salt, and then we start mixing. And there you have it, the perfect dough. So now we're going to place it in a floured plastic bowl in a very warm area without a draft. We're going to cover it up, and we want it to double in size. We don't want to rush this process. It is extremely important to let it rest. And while the dough is resting, let's start the walnut filling. And now we're going to be adding our 40 grams of butter and melting it in the warm milk. And now we're going to add that warm milk and butter mixture to our ground walnuts. Okay, and now we're going to measure out 100 grams of sugar and add that to our ground walnuts as well. Now we're just going to mix until well combined. Now we're going to use our reserved egg whites, and we're going to beat them until we get a nice fluffy consistency.
The walnut mixture had to cool down before you add egg whites.
Every kitchen is very different, and it is so important to make sure that you do have a warm area for the dough to rise and for it to double in size. So as you can see here, this dough has risen beautifully. We have floured the tablecloth, and we are ready now to make the delicious potica walnut nutty roll.
nice and soft.
You want to shape the dough into a rectangle and continue rolling. And if you're using a 9-inch bundt pan, you'll want your rectangle to be about 20 by 20 inches. And now it's time to add that delicious walnut filling.
I'm pressing a little bit to get air out.
Here's a very useful tip as well. If you have a kitchen towel, you can roll it up, and that would be a perfect way to measure the inside of your bundt pan, so then you'll know the length of your walnut roll before you place it in. And now I'm going to be using a wooden skewer to poke some holes into the potica. I'm going to cover it up with a kitchen cloth and allow it to rest for about anywhere between a half an hour to an hour, depending on how warm your kitchen is. Before we place the potica into the oven, we are going to brush on an egg wash over the potica, and then we're going to grab our wooden skewer and re-poke the holes. That way, when we are baking this delicious potica in the oven, we get the proper airflow. We are going to place the potica into a 350-degree oven for 45 minutes, and then we're going to lower the heat to 325, and we're going to allow it to bake for another 10 to 15 minutes longer until you get a beautiful bronzed crust. Once you have removed it from the oven, you're going to let it rest for about 2 minutes, and then you're going to immediately place it upside down and let it cool before you cut into it. So good. Thank you so much for watching. We'll see you again next week when I share another delicious recipe from my Slovenska Kuhinja. Until then, na zdravje and dober tek. Adio!